Hey guys, I'm the Burke and I do things, and we're going to talk about makeup inventory today. So this is definitely a late video, but I have been very busy the last few weeks, so I finally am getting some time to sit down and talk makeup inventory. So the way I have been structuring my makeup inventory the last year, so 2021, is I would come back every quarter and I'd go through how much each category of makeup has increased and decreased over the last quarter, and then I would do a makeup roulette at the end. Instead of doing the makeup roulette at the end of this video, I will be going through my annual makeup inventory, and we will go through how much I started with in the beginning of the year in each category and how much I ended with, and I will compare it a little bit to the previous year's inventory updates. So if that is all something that is very interesting to you, then keep on watching. Let's go. And if you are wondering how I keep track of my inventory, I just have like a Google spreadsheet where each tab is like a different category of makeup, and I just kind of track it on here. Nothing super fancy. So what I'll do first is I'll go through each category of makeup and we'll talk about the last quarter of the year, and then we'll get into the annual inventory changes. So the first category I can talk about is bronzers, and in the last quarter I finished one up in November and finished one up at the very end of December. Actually, the one I finished up in the very end of December was right after I finished filming all my empty videos, so that'll technically be in January's video, but it's okay. It's okay that it didn't make it. So I actually finished 2 bronzers up the last quarter. The next category is blushes, and I had no change in my blush inventory last quarter, which is quite the that was not very common this last year. I feel like blush was my thing of the year. Okay, so for highlighters, I actually acquired 1 new highlighter in November. Face palettes, I had no change in the last quarter. Eyeshadow palettes, I got 2 new eyeshadow palettes in October, 1 in November and 1 in December. That was actually a very large quarter for me for eyeshadow palettes. And then I do have that broken into individual pans. So in October, that was 20 new shadows. In November, that was 7 new shadows. And in December, that was 9 new shadows. For foundation, I got a new foundation in November, used one up in November, and used one up in December. In the eye primer category, I had no change. For concealers, I used 1 up in November and 1 up in December. For setting sprays, I got 1 new setting spray in December. Actually, if I will be honest, in December, a lot of anything that's like a new product in December either came from Ipsy, which a lot of my new makeup in the last year came from Ipsy, or I actually got a MAC holiday set from my parents for Christmas, so a lot of the new is from that holiday set. For brow products, I finished 1 in November. For eyeliners, I finished 1 in October, got 2 new eyeliners in December, and used 1 up in December. For face powders, I finished 1 in December. For primers, I got 2 new primers in December and used 1 up in December. For lipsticks, I got 1 lipstick in November and 1 lipstick in December. For liquid lipsticks, I had no change in the last quarter. For lip glosses, I also had no change in the last quarter. Lip liners, I had no change in the last quarter. And the very last category is mascaras. I got 1 new mascara in October, finished 1 in October, got 1 new mascara in November, and 1 new mascara in December. So that's a lot of new mascaras. Okay, so that was the quarterly changes. Now I can talk about how we started in the year and how we ended. So starting with the bronzers, I started the year with 35 bronzers and ended the year with 41. So my collection increased by 6 bronzers this year. I do want to preface that my inventory spreadsheet does not differentiate between full size and like minis. So a lot of my makeup is technically mini size, but it's just counted as 1 because I don't have time to differentiate. Okay, so the next category is blushes, and I started the year with 60 blushes and ended the year with 69 blushes. So I increased by 9 blushes. Like I said, that was a big category for me this year. Next is highlighters, and I started the year with 41 highlighters and I ended the year with 39 highlighters, so I did decrease by 2. Now, I didn't do any crazy decluttering this past year. I did have one time when a friend came from out of town who is a big makeup enthusiast as myself, and I did go through my collection and give her a bunch of stuff that was just sitting around not getting enough use that I thought she might enjoy. So a lot of things, like when my highlighters went down by 2, it's not because I finished 2 highlighters, it is because those 2 highlighters were part of that transaction, so to speak. Okay, the next category is face palettes, and I started the year with 53 face palettes, ended the year with 46 face palettes, so I did go down by 7 face palettes this year. Eyeshadow palettes, I started the year at 58 and ended the year at 62, so I increased by 4. This is very interesting, as you've heard that number, and that number wasn't literally only increasing by 4, it was like the back and forth of getting new giving my friends some. I started the year with 791 individual pans of eyeshadow in my collection, and I ended the year with 791 in my collection. That to me is the weirdest thing of this entire thing, that even though my eyeshadows palettes like went like this kind of throughout the year, depending on what I was doing with my eyeshadow palettes, the number of pans stayed exactly the same. I don't know how, but it's just so weird. For eye primers, I started the year with 13 and I ended the year with 11. For foundations, I started the year with 65 and I ended the year with 67. So I did go up by 2 in that category. For concealers, I started the year at 30 and ended the year at 32. Again, I went up by 2 in that category. Setting sprays, I started the year with 36 and I ended the year with 32. So I went down by 4 in that category, which is very interesting because if you watched my full year empties, I used up a lot of setting sprays last year and I did not realize that I got so many back in my collection at the same time. So I definitely used up more than 4 this past year. So, ooh, okay. Brow products, I started the year with 54 and ended the year with 52. So I went down by 2 in that category. Eyeliners, I started the year at 54 and ended the year at 51. So I went down by 3 in that category. Face powders, I started the year at 33 and ended the year at 32. So I went down by 1. Primers, I started at 40 and ended with 41, which means I went up by 1. And if you saw my makeup empties, my biggest products finished last year were primers, and that category still went up by 1. And I thought I was so consciously not getting primers this past year. This spreadsheet holds me accountable for my actions. So for lipsticks, I started the year at 72 and I ended the year at 76. So I only increased by 4, which that was a big thing was me. I tried really hard not to add a crazy amount of lip products in this past year because of how hard it is for me to finish lip products. So that was a big focus for me. For example, liquid lipsticks, I started the year with 85 and I ended the year with 85. I've been trying to pan the same liquid lipstick forever at this point. Lip glosses, I started at 85, ended at 95, so I did increase by 5, but lip gloss is life at this point, I think. Lip liners, I started the year at 30 and ended the year at 30. I think I should try to focus on using up a lip liner this year. I think that would be fantastic. And the last category is mascara. I started the year with 26, ended the year with 29, so I did go up by 3 in that category. Now, my biggest increase in my collection was blushes. It did increase by 9, and my biggest decrease was face palettes. It decreased by 7. I definitely did a really good job, I feel like, moving product out of my collection this past year, but I also tried very hard to be consciously aware of how much I was bringing in, and it's very interesting because if you go through the increase and decrease in my collection this past year, my entire collection increased by 15 products in the past year. And that was the exact same number as the year before, and I thought I was being more conscious of what I was bringing in this year. Now, to be fair, I got this MAC holiday collection from my mom this year, and there was literally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 products alone in this category. So I think that's swaying my numbers quite a bit because I didn't purchase this specifically. But I did try really hard to be conscious of how much I was bringing in, and a lot of what was coming in was from my Ipsy. I made a couple Ulta purchases, a couple Sephora purchases, but with the baby, I just don't have as much time and money to put into makeup as I had in the past. But I really do like doing this inventory every year. You can let me know if you guys really like it as well. I definitely was not surprised to see blushes was my big one this year because I really like cream blush, and it was the year of the cream blush, and I don't even think I went that crazy, honestly. 9, I guess 9 is a lot. I've got some makeup to work on this year. I'm going to try to film a Project Pan update shortly. I think I've finished 1 or 2 products in my Project Pan, so I can definitely use this spreadsheet to roll something in. I'm thinking maybe a lip liner would be good to roll in since that seems to be this kind of category, and it would be easy to track a lip liner, and then maybe I don't want to try to finish a blush because I had a blush in a Project Pan once and it made me hate the blush. Let's just put it that way. So I don't think I would put a blush in, but maybe we can bring in a lip liner. That would be cool. But yeah, that is it for my quarterly inventory update and my annual inventory update. The first quarter of 2022 update will include a makeup roulette again. I just thought that it was a lot to do that in this video as well. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments. And if you guys also keep inventory of your makeup, do you guys get a little overwhelmed by the numbers as well? I tried not to get too overwhelmed, but it definitely can be a little jarring sometimes. But yeah, that is it for this video. As usual, thanks for stopping by my channel. If you're new here, click the subscribe button and ring that bell for notifications. I have my Twitter and my Instagram down below. Give them a follow, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys!